Welcome back, horror fans. It's Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central, and that means another episode of Week in Horror Podcast, the only podcast where whatever you do, don't fall asleep. We are coming to you live from our YouTube channel, so for all you podcast listeners, be sure to check us out so you too can be a part of our live audience. This week, we're covering select films released in horror history between April 4th and April 10th. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Eugene, and with me today is JL and Alex.
Good evening.
Cheers.
So and running in the background, although you can't hear him, is our man Johnny O running the board.
So definitely,
he didn't say anything.
He'll say hi in the chat for all the podcast listeners.
Oh.
But we're starting off with a little bit of scary news. Earlier this week, Tom Savini was in a car crash. He is okay.
No.
Yes.
Good.
Oh.
But he was hospitalized.
Did you see that picture of him? And did you see that picture of him in his hospital bed?
I did.
Dude, we were just talking about
it. He looked rough. Yeah, I mean, he tweeted it out, and it seemed like he was doing okay. But that one, I mean, it looked pretty bad to me.
And I mean, at the very least, it looks like he's in like high spirited. That he will be okay. But like, yeah, he definitely took a hit on that one. But there's no way some car crash is gonna take out Tom Savini. No way.
Sex Machine is not gonna be taken down by a friggin' car. That's not going to happen.
It's like, no.
What did he say? Okay, so his tweet was, so this is from Tom Savini to everybody out there. So he said, "To my amazing fans, I've had to cancel my upcoming appearance at the Nashville Full Moon Tattoo and Horror Con as yesterday I was hit by a car while riding my bicycle. Left me a bit incapacitated and need time to heal. Thanks so much to everyone who reached out, and a huge thank you to both the Pittsburgh Police Department and the Pittsburgh paramedics who came to my aid so quickly. I'll see all of you very soon, Tom." So there's new photos. Ooh.
Oh, I haven't seen the new ones.
That looks like his work.
It looks so realistic.
God, that sucks, man. That's why you don't ride a bike. See, exercise is fucking dangerous.
This is true. But I'm glad he's okay. You know, we need him to stick around. We need more of his excellent work.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll continue hunting down the person that hit him and taking care of them, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a squad behind him.
Definitely. Who do we have in the chat tonight? We got Grave Paradise. Excellent to see you. Yo, Grave Paradise. She has been, and from all of us at Week in Horror, we are so glad that your mom is doing so much better after her major surgery. So our thoughts are all with her. And I hope that she makes a really speedy recovery because she had to be readmitted to the hospital. Apparently, there was just some minor complications, but some post-surgical complications. But she is apparently doing quite well. So we are all rooting for her. Hey, Grave Paradise, glad to see you. Shane Summer, excellent to see you. There's PhD Tony, the man, one of our excellent patrons. And Ricky Balboa. God, that's a cool fucking name. I like that. Good to see you, Ricky. Cool, Thaddeus Koss, excellent to see you. And Ivy Gentry, good to see you. And there's a plot hole saying hi from the back, hi from behind the curtain. Dark Steve. Dark Steve is in town on his phone again. Oh, it's bummer. But good to see you, Dark Steve. Thank you for stopping by. Friendly Antinatalist, excellent to see you. And I will be getting back to you on that email you sent me very, very soon, very shortly. So I promise that. And of course, Charlie Welch, the only man you don't make a bet with. And thank you for coming in. I'm assuming he says he feels like crap because of his recent health stuff going on. So I hope you're resting well, and thank you so much for joining us, man. Definitely, we appreciate it. There's a few other things that I wanted to bring up before we dive into the movies tonight.
Yeah, you have the People Under the Stairs remake.
Yes,
Jordan Peele.
Which I mean, it's Jordan Peele. I mean, I'm excited about anything that he does.
I'm sorry, but did you see who was in this movie? I'm kind of worried.
See, Jordan Peele is one of the directors where it's like, I trust. Like, I always remember when they announced Heath Ledger as a Joker, and people were up in arms, and there's no way Heath Ledger, this is the worst casting ever, and people were so upset about it. And then you got the first scene they saw him in, and everybody shut up. Everybody was just like, nope. Christopher Nolan knew what he was doing. Jordan Peele is somebody who knows what he's doing. So I trust him.
Okay. All right.
I agree. I am 50-50 on this. I agree that Peele knows what he's doing. I think he's got a good grasp on it. If anybody, I mean, there are a lot of worse directors that could remake Wes Craven, but does it need to be remade? Do we need a remake of this? Because the first one was so unique and so entertaining, had an excellent cast in it. I'm 50-50. I don't know if it needs it. Maybe it could be awesome. So, exactly. Friendly Antinatalist says, Jordan Peele is remaking People Under the Stairs. I don't know how to feel about this. I also don't know how to feel about this.
Just wait until you see the cast. Everybody go look up the cast, and we'll talk about it.
Charlie Wells says he's got to have his gallbladder out. Oof.
Ooh.
Damn.
Oh,
and Man Devil has joined us. Good to see you, Man Devil.
You're talking about that, Charlie.
Do what?
Charlie was talking about that a couple weeks ago. He's got to wait till the 12th. That sucks.
Yes, terrible. Ivy Gentry, or Ivy Gentry, you are correct. I'm not a big fan of remake culture. It just goes to show that Hollywood doesn't have a whole lot of its own original ideas, but I do love Jordan Peele as well. I really do. So
we'll see how Jaden Smith, Miranda Cosgrove, and fucking Halle Berry play together.
I don't know. The thing is, like, I'm at the very least, I'm curious. I'm also not a huge fan of the remake culture, but it's just right now Hollywood is so tight on money. Yeah. And remakes are really the only thing that they're going to put money behind at this point. And I mean, the thing is, at the very least, Jordan Peele, after Get Out, was offered several big studio films that he turned down, including things like the Akira, based off the animation remake that's supposed to have a $200 million budget. So he turned that down so that he can do the project that he wants and control it the way he does. So that's the only reason why I'm really excited about it, because he's going to be able to have full control of it.
It's understandable.
Oh, that's a good thing. All right, and let's see. Grave Paradise says no, we don't need one. Grave Paradise says no, we don't need one. Thaddeus Koss says I'm not sure about it either. And Mandeville says, I love Get Out and Us, but heard the Twilight Zone sucked. It was a little lackluster. I don't think it lived up to the hype. Everyone was kind of like, oh, Jordan Peele, Twilight Zone, oh, this could be amazing. I don't think it did. It was kind of like, oh, okay, it's pretty much it. I just think it was lackluster. I didn't think it was terrible, but it just, just wasn't quite what we expected. And Mandeville says they should just leave horror to new indie directors, keep Hollywood out of it. That's an interesting thought.
True horror? Yeah, absolutely.
Huh.
I agree.
And Kevin Paul, good to see you. Good to see you lurking. We spy you over there. So, other than that, something else interesting, and I never thought I'd say these words. Rob Zombie's The Munsters.
We gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about it.
I just want thoughts.
Can't we?
Because
just ignore Sherry, it and
Sherry is going to be the mom.
Yeah. Again, I got nothing to say about this. I can't
I love The Monsters growing up, and it was a fun show. I love that show growing up, and I don't think that remake's even necessary to begin with. And second of all, Rob Zombie's gonna do his trailer park shit that he does on his films, and which it works for his original stuff like Devil's Rejects. It works on that. but I want the monsters were happy and like they just had horror things. They're like the Addams Family. They rivaled the Addams Family. You know, they were happy and they just did their little horror stuff. And I don't want to see them like yelling and fighting and tits popping out everywhere.
Eugene, you're gonna see fucking white trash monsters. Like that's happen.
Oh, no. That's exactly what's going to happen.
There's nothing wrong with white trash. There is just not. That's not the monsters.
No, that just no.
Grave Paradise. That is the longest. That is the longest no in chat I've ever seen. It's literally no, and then another line, no, Rob Zombie, and then no.
Rocky Balboa, zombie needs to stop.
He just needs to stop. Just stop. Just another no. And Ivy Gentry. I love Rob Zombie, but the monsters were corny. It's weird. I don't know. Trailer Park Boys monsters. What's he? Okay, Mandevil's like, what's he gonna call it? 1313 Mockingbird Lane or something pretentious like that.
Yeah. Shit. Write that down. Take a screenshot. Probably.
I never would have thought of Zombie as pretentious. As like so pretentious. I know he was like Rob Zombie. He's so pretentious. Like you watch the music video for Living Dead Girl, and you're like, this guy's so pretentious.
So pretentious.
That is funny. Well, obviously there. I don't know what's gonna happen. And Ivy says the Addams Family is so much better than Monsters. The original Addams Family was fantastic. John Astin is amazing. He actually just turned 91, I think.
I saw that.
Just had his 91st birthday. But yeah, he that show kicked ass. But I love the Monsters too because, I think it was incredibly wholesome, despite the fact that these were like the universal monsters. And from Eddie, Grandpa was always so amazing. Just fantastic stuff. But I love the show, and I always liked that it had a very good-hearted message, about inclusivity, and just because somebody is different, there's no reason you can't be friends with them. Herman's monsters are happy and corny and not Rob Zombie.
Exactly. It's the same thing. It's like the Addams Family, the show, and even the two movies. They were fun family movies that you get excited about. Yeah. I love those movies when I was a kid.
Raul Julia and Angelica Houston. The whole thing was perfectly cast. Raul Julia, Angelica Houston. Christina Ricci as Wednesday was magnificent. Obviously Christopher Lloyd is Uncle Fester, and it couldn't have been better. Raul Julia and John Astin were magnificent. It's hard. It's weird when you have two different actors, two different takes on the role, and both of them are so fantastic. They both I can see, that's Gomez and that's Gomez. That's so wild, but that just goes to the absolute talent of these individuals.
Yeah, because you can't compare them. So they're just both fantastic in their own way.
See, Fred Landon says, speaking of classic horror, there's a new bio out about Vampira, authored by her niece. That's cool. I'm gonna want to check that out. Oh, and you just mentioned Vampira. Just reminded me of Elvira. I think Elvira is going to be in Zombies Monsters.
What?
That Cassandra Peterson.
What? Yeah. What?
Yeah, that she's going to be in it. I don't know if she'll be in it as Elvira, but I believe she has been cast in it. So I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I'm still worried about it. I love Elvira. But I would be more excited for just a new Elvira movie.
It's wild. Oh, Ivy just says, yes, only the original counts. The movies were a joke. The first one was really good. Addams Family Values, I think, was pushing a little too far, just because it's better episode. That kind of thing is better episodically, which is why it worked as a TV series. But the first film was really good.
It was.
It just had all the classic moments. It used all the classic stuff from the show. It was just a great throwback. Everything from Lurch to Lurch, Thing, Cousin It, and I really love that movie. And plus, Raul Julia and Angelica Houston have a chemistry that is just magnificent. It just, I think, was just encapsulated all of it. Let's see here. And we had one other thing. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Before we dive into this, this is a little bit of a touchy subject. So I want to preface this before we dive into this bit of news that just recently dropped. So I don't think that there are any people out there who say that they don't like Jeepers Creepers. I'm a Jeepers Creepers fan. You guys Jeepers Creepers fans?
I like Jeepers Creepers. Yeah.
Yeah. Johnny, I know you can hear me. Are you Jeepers Creepers fan? Gotcha. I see. And so I know we got fans of Jeepers Creepers, especially the Creeper as a kind of horror icon in the live chat. I know that. Obviously, it's a very, very touchy subject. Director Victor Salva and his history. There's been problems. Obviously, there was problems getting Jeepers Creepers 2 off, problems getting the third one, even more problems getting the third one off. And of course, but they were still making them. We pretty much thought we were going to get a fourth one. The end of the third was leading up. It was like, oh, we get a fourth one. It's going to complete the story. We're going to get 4 Jeepers Creepers films. So, but I know how people feel about that. And I know how people had issues with Victor and his very sketchy past. So, but the news recently dropped that Jeepers Creepers is going to be rebooted. New director, new everything, no involvement from Victor Salva, and completely new story. Victor Salva's story will not be continued. This will be a fresh beginning, a fresh start, with nothing having to do with the original trilogy. So the horror icon is changing hands.
It was the fourth one or the third one was the last one, right?
The third one wasn't supposed to be the last one. The third one was supposed to be the one that kicked off the events going into the final one, which would be the conclusion of what he planned as a quadrilogy.
Right.
So he planned for 4 films, but he's not going to get that, and that's most likely because of the outcry, because of his very dark past, because of the things have gone on in his past. It's not that it's been taken away from him. He will still get credit as the creator because he created that icon. So they can't just take it all away from him in that respect.
But you gotta understand, actions have fucking consequences. So
this is true. Now, it's still based on characters created by Victor Salva. However, this is a new director, a brand new production company who bought the rights. So they're the ones controlling it. And that's pretty much it. He has zero involvement whatsoever. So, I'm a bit conflicted. I can separate the art from the man, and I enjoyed the movies for what they were and the story they were telling. I loved the lore that he was building in that. I'm really bummed that we're not going to get a fourth one that finishes the story he started. That's 3 movies of investment over almost a decade, and we're not going to get to see the end of that, which is kind of a bummer. Just as a horror fan, that's a bummer.
What do you mean almost over a decade? Wasn't the first one, didn't that come out in like 2001 and the third one came out in like 2017? Did it come out in 2017?
No. Jeepers Creepers 2.
Yeah, Jeepers Creepers 2 came out in 2017.
No, Jeepers Creepers 1. The first one came out in 2001. The second one came out 2 years later, 2003.
Yeah, 03.
Then after the success of the second one, there was so it was 16 years it took to get all 3 films out. And that's because there was so many problems behind the scenes of people trying to stop the movie from being made. And because of that, he had financiers disappear, he had money dry up, which is why the film looks as cheap as it does. So the film suffered because they had already begun pre-production. And then all of it, and they had a set budget, and all of a sudden the budget started drying up. So they had to work with what they had. Now that sucks, and I can totally understand why it happened. But I'm bummed. We're not going to get the fourth one to finish up the storyline that was set. That bums me out. The fact that we're going to get a new one that's rebooted and completely like that, well, that's cool. That means that this icon can live on past its creator, and we can get new movies. But like I said, I'm conflicted there. I don't know about you guys.
I understand the whole political climate in Hollywood. It's 100% in terms of political, not politics for government, but in terms of the face of it, because people at that point are looking to separate themselves, and you're starting to get to the point where, especially with the whole Weinstein situation, people were digging back in the past, or to the point where James Gunn was fired from the Guardians of the Galaxy series off a tweet he did in 2005. And he did Suicide Squad, and he issued an apology, and he will direct the third Guardians of the Galaxy after that. But it was like for several months.
It took the entire cast. It took the entire cast of Guardians to like rise up against Disney, led by Dave Bautista. Okay, because everybody loved Drax. And so when one of your major stars jumped up and was like, you know what, if you don't bring him back, we're not fucking doing this. And then the entire cast is behind him, like, yeah, we pretty much agree with that.
Yeah, but I mean, we're at this point right now, and I think in 2017, 2018, we're really starting to see this. And when you do anything in the spotlight, people do their research on it. We can sit there and go, "Oh man, who directed that?" Wikipedia, instantaneous. Oh, he did this. I don't want to support it anymore. We live in this age where you can do something at 16 that can affect your career when you're 40.
People are so fucking bored over the last year. Yo, people in Hollywood have always been fucking shitheads. It has always been a thing. Everybody has been fucking shady as shit. That's how fucking Hollywood is. That's why it is what it is. Everybody fucking fucked each other over, fucked each other literally. Like everybody's. Mandevil makes a good point. I have no real problem watching stuff directed by scumbags, but I find it hard to watch actors on screen who did scummy stuff. You're not seeing it. It's always been there. The scummy shit has always been happening behind the camera. But you know, like you said, we have the research abilities now. People are fucking bored. Everybody wants to cancel everything. They've always been shitheads. If you walk onto a set, even you guys, I know you guys have even walked on sets with people who have done shady shit. Like, that's just how you get on top of these things. And so it's like, yes, there was issues. Yes, people said some shit. Get over it. Make the fucking movie and put it out as entertainment. It's just, there's so much going on behind it that it's like, it's really cool that they got 3 out even, because like you said, there's so many problems with it. People are trying to shut it down. But it had to happen in the director's eyes, and it did, and that's great. But yeah, I'm sick of hearing about people like, oh, Hollywood. Yeah, they've always been fucking shitheads. Like, it's always been that way. Sorry.
And plus the thing is if it was something new, if it was something recent, like, oh, this just happened, he did his crime, he served the time, and this was stuff back in the early 90s, and he hasn't been arrested or anything like that since.
There's some big things. Touching children, absolutely unacceptable. Having sex with somebody without their consent, absolutely unacceptable. Saying some fucking shady shit, like we all say shady shit. There's like different, you know, if you're like a role model, yeah, absolutely. Maybe don't say things like that. But like, you're talking about directors and actors and shit that do horror movies. Like, it's going to be a weird world. Don't touch kids. Don't touch people without their consent.
Well, I mean, you look at respect to this. You look at. I mean, because talking about what Eugene did, yes, what Victor Salva did was terrible. Okay, yes. He is ill. He acknowledges that he has a problem. He went to prison. He served his time. He served his sentence. Got out on parole. Served his parole. Hasn't had an issue since the thing went down. From all intents and purposes, from all reports, he's been in deep therapy. He's been in therapy ever since. He's on medication. He does everything he can to not relapse and do that. So he's doing what he can to be a productive member of society. You know, he did the crime. He did the time. The crime was terrible. And I'm sorry. Yeah, we know what happens to it. We all know what often happens to individuals like that when they're in prison. So he dealt with that too. I'm not saying that whatever, but I'm saying that he went through the system. He did it. He's out on the other side. His life has pretty much just been an upside down hell ever since. Some people feel he deserves it. Some people feel he's paid his due. Whatever. All I'm saying is that I can separate the art from the guy.
If you tried,
I think what we're seeing now is, and then if you compare that to the likes of Weinstein, okay,
that's
so
different.
let's look at what Weinstein. Let's look at what. No, it's not different because whereas Victor Salva committed a terrible crime and he did it once, got busted for it, went to prison, did his thing. Weinstein was literally the worst kept secret in Hollywood for the better part of almost, what was it, like
30
since
years.
the 80s,
Like,
for 30 years.
Long fucking time.
Exactly. Like Johnny said, the worst secret everybody knew about. It's freaking atrocious. Everyone knew about it. No one said anything because Weinstein was making the studio millions. He was making people millions. He was winning awards all over the place for producing the movies that he did, for being kind of like, the bad boys of Hollywood that put out really excellent movies. I mean, that's it.
That's where it's different.
Okay, so but the idea is, so do we cancel and get rid of everything that Miramax ever put out?
Yeah,
because
no.
Okay, so you look at everything that Miramax put out. You look at everything you look at the directors that came up underneath Weinstein. Okay, the actors that came up underneath Weinstein, the individuals that would not have careers if it were not for that man, for that guy. Okay, I don't want to call him a man because he's a piece of shit.
No, he's definitely not a man.
Yeah.
But in that respect, so I try to separate it. So yeah, I can still love Chasing Amy, even though I know how deeply involved Weinstein was in making that movie happen. Okay, I can still love the Jeepers Creepers trilogy, despite the fact like that. Just like we don't say the same things about James Cameron, but James Cameron doesn't break the law. But James Cameron apparently is a fucking monster to work with. I mean, come on. I think there was one human being that had good things to say about James Cameron, and that was Bill Paxton. And that was it.
Doesn't even fucking like him.
Exactly.
No, here's the thing.
Even Sigourney Weaver was like, he's a very focused individual.
But on top of that, the thing with James Cameron is this. James Cameron may be very difficult to work with and yell with people on set and everything like that, but he keeps it professional. He may sit there and fucking yell at you, and then he still follows the law. He goes home. He does his other stuff. He doesn't cross that line where there's nothing that he does that's illegal, as far as we know. Nothing that he does that's illegal. You can yell in the military. You can get someone in your face and yell at you all day because you fucked up, but it was never personal.
But here's the difference between the military and working on a set with James Cameron is you can walk away from the set. Like, you have the option to be there.
You do that, you're walking away from your career. I can tell you that right now.
But you still have that fucking choice, though. That's the thing, is you've got that choice. And that's the thing with this fucking cancel culture bullshit. Listen, you know what these people did. You know where their stuff is. Yes, it was bad, and it might make you feel bad, and it probably hurt a lot of people. But you have the choice to not participate in watching these things or being a part of these things or, keeping these things alive. Like, you have the choice to not hit play, and that's your choice. Absolutely. Like you said, you can separate the art from the monster. I can't do that on a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that I do not watch from Miramax specifically because of what I know was going on set and off, behind camera and everything. And so it's like, but you still have that choice. Like, you don't need to participate in this stuff if you don't want to. And if it hurts you a lot, there's groups that you can talk to.
This is true.
But
That's true.
It's just hard to
choose. You can choose what you want to watch. You absolutely can. I think the cancel culture, I think Eugene brought up an interesting point. I think the cancel culture thing has been exacerbated by the pandemic and what's currently going on with Hollywood. Hollywood's coffers are very, very light right now. So they're not going to, so this is an even greater risk. So if everybody was flush and the economy was up and everything was fantastic and everybody was cash rich and could go and pay $20 for a movie ticket and $40 at the concession stand and nobody was batting an eye, then sure, we'll take another chance on Kevin Spacey again. Okay. But it's not, but when the economy is down, when we are literally, like a hair's breadth from another recession and nobody's going to the theaters, everything's going digital release and no one's going to pay those damn prices. Theaters are going out of business and all of this absolute chaos. No, they're not going to take a risk on putting a controversial name on something because there's so little money that they can risk to lose. That's just the way it's going to be. You know, when you could say, "Oh, if we put Kevin Spacey on, it'll be controversial," but everybody's catch risk. So there'll be people who will come because they're Kevin Spacey fans. People who will come just because because of the controversy. Oh, I want to see Kevin Spacey. This fucking asshole. I want to see that shit. That's not going to happen nowadays. So Hollywood tightening their purse strings is the thing is exacerbating it and making it look worse. Like look like cancel culture is becoming a big thing when in actuality, it's a financial thing that's being labeled as cancel culture.
It really is because a friend of mine who's a producer out in LA, she's sitting there, she's trying to get a feature. The entire feature costs $750,000 and has a well-known actress that we all know. I'm not gonna say her name, but we all know, easily recognizable name, full feature, $750,000. 5 years ago, any studio would greenlight that. That is little risk. The name alone will go ahead and bring people back in, make your money back. I mean, just easy. Even if the film is terrible, you're guaranteed to make your money back. And she's having trouble selling it because people are just that.
Is this the most reviled blonde? Is this the most reviled blonde in Hollywood right now?
No.
This is
okay.
There's like no.
No. Mandevil makes a point. Mandevil makes a point. Says I can never watch Bill Cosby or Rolf Harris ever again. That's absolutely, and I think a lot of people have like a really hard time with that. Like you said, they're childhood heroes, yeah. But as soon as I found out what was going on, I could immediately erase those people from my life. Like, there's nothing that you could just. Sorry, that was a good point, Mandevil. It's like childhood heroes are coming out. And you're finding out things. It's just like, bye.
It's freaking killer. It's so killer. Oh, this is funny. Mandela said, I heard they played rock, paper, scissors when Cameron is at the bottom of the Marianas Trench on whether or not to bring him back up. And he says, just kidding. That never actually happened. That did not happen. But no. He's got a point. And before we, it's the last, I think it's the last I'll say, so we can jump into the movies tonight. But Bill Cosby was it was awful. It was absolutely awful. It was fucking terrible. And which is, it kills me because I grew up. One of the favorite things I remember, one of the best memories I have with my dad, given my father's nice history, was watching Bill Cosby himself. That movie there was a 2-hour play, basically a 2-hour stand-up that he did, was so unbelievably funny. I'm talking fall on your ass, hysterical, and not a curse word to be heard. Just anecdotes about his childhood, the inspirations behind things like Fat Albert, and just everything collected there, just Bill Cosby himself. And obviously he was leaving a little bit out of that story, but funny stuff was there. The idea of, of early parenthood, dealing with kids and their insanity, when, what kids do to your marriage. His anecdotes just kept, and I've watched it many times. It always lands me on the floor because I see as a kid, I'd be like, as a kid, I did that shit. It was fucking insane. So that's what kills me. And I don't know. I'm twisted up about that. And somebody said something earlier. Mandela said, I believe Courtney Love told Uma Thurman when she first came to Hollywood and asked for newbie advice, don't go to fucking lunch with fucking Harvey Weinstein. Yeah, that's the truth.
What it does is it makes you appreciate the people who are genuinely good. When you think of people like Fred Rogers and Steve Irwin as people who are genuinely great people, it makes you appreciate them even more on it because they're not the slimy people. They're not two-faced. That's just who they were. They were just fantastic people.
And think about the things that they said no to. I'm sure there was plenty of stuff that they were like, asked to do that were going against their morals, and they said no, and they stood strong against their morals, and that's, that's commendable.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Friendly anti. Okay. Thank you, Johnny. I will do. Friendly Antinatalist says Cosby was the clean alternative to Pryor. Isn't that ironic? Don't you think? Oh, man. But anyhow, I know that everybody out there has got their opinions, and everybody is entitled to their opinions. If you don't want to watch these movies because of the reputations that are behind them, then obviously you don't have to watch them. As a horror fan, I find myself sometimes torn between a storyline that I love or a film that I love and the actions of the individuals who are behind it. I can separate the two. Just because I've been in the industry, Eugene has been in the industry, And we can say art is art and the individual is the individual. Now, the art may be good, but the individual is an asshole, then, you know, he won't be making that art for very long, or they won't be making that art for very long. That's just the way it is. So we take it moment by moment, case by case, and make our judgments from there. So, but man, oh man, damn, it's the deep stuff.
Welcome to This Week in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's wild. I mean, there was all of a sudden, just I love it when we get big news drops, and because it doesn't happen it hasn't been happening lately, you know, as of late. But you know, with all of these things going on, I am still curious. I mean, like I said, People Under the Stairs remake. I'm curious. I'm 50-50. You know, doesn't need to be made. I'm morbidly curious as to what's gonna come out. Rob Zombie's Monsters. Yeah, I'm a fucking masochist. I'll watch that shit. What happened?
I could just beat you with a bat. That would be less painful.
I mean, come on. We can get a little cameo from Dr. Satan. We can get a little bit of that in there. It'd be fucking hilarious. I just want to know who's going to get to play Grandpa. I'm dying
if
to
Jack
know.
Black isn't Grandpa, I'm going to be pissed.
That'd be fucking sweet.
I'm going to be
And then,
mad.
of course, a brand new blank slate Jeepers Creepers film. While I'm sad that we're not going to get to finish the story, I do want to see that. I'm going to go to the theater. I'm going to go see that, or I'll get it on digital, whichever one. I will see that movie. So, yeah, I guess we'll see. Let's see. Mandel says the constant abuse and assaults by Sam Raimi on Bruce Campbell on set were kept hidden for many, many years. Well, to be honest, Mandel, I've heard a little bit about that. And I heard that there was kind of a trio because it was Rob Tapert, Sam Raimi, and Bruce Campbell, because all three of them went to school and they were childhood buddies. And there was always that kind of a weird camaraderie rivalry kind of thing. And that Bruce, despite the fact that he was the tall one, he was the handsome one, he was always the good looking one. And Sam and Rob are kind of not. And that it was always them ragging on him. And that he's like a total like sweetheart. And he would never, the dude is like 6'4" and it's just like, chin for days. He could smash these guys, but he's just not that kind of guy. He's like, yeah, I'll take it, yeah, whatever, man. So I think that's just their way. That's just three childhood buddies who just fucking just go at each other. And then, you may have been joking, but that these are things I've heard. Just that Sam Raimi and Rob Tapert tend to gang on Bruce. I think it's because they're kind of like the short, nebbish little dudes, and Bruce Campbell is decidedly not. And then PSG Tony says, I have the same attitude via Mel Gibson. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Let's get started.
That guy a long time ago.
The Beaver was fucking amazing. It really
I
was. And I'm not saying it was a comeback film. It was the first movie he did when he was coming back, and it was about a dude who goes through a nervous breakdown, suffering from chronic depression, and falls through a nervous breakdown, and then manages to work himself out of it. It was a stunning film. It really was. Jodie Foster, Mel Gibson, Anton Yelchin. Oh, yeah. I mean, I recommend it. So, all right, fuck it. We got movies to talk about. So, Alex, what do we have up first? Let's dive into it.
All right. Coming at you.
It's literally been, it hasn't been that long.
We've been talking about the shitty people in Hollywood for almost an hour now.
We started at 7:15, not 7:15.
It's been like 40 minutes.
Oh my God. Okay.
And we covered 4 major things. We spent like 10 minutes on each thing.
Still, go with the movie.
Movies,
Sorry.
Alex, take us away.
Got me all worked up with fucking shitty people. Anyways, we're going to talk tonight about Afflicted. This was fucking awesome. JL, speaking of...
Oh, I hate that. I hate that fucking Kevin Spacey.
Anyways, Afflicted. JL, thank you so much for recommending or putting this one on here.
I hate that Bob Barker. Sorry.
I hate when you interrupt me. Jesus. No, I'm just kidding. Did you say Bob Barker?
I was trying to get a joke out. Just that whole...
Did you just say
Bob Barker? I was just trying to get the joke out. Oh, I hate... It was from Happy Gilmore. I hate that Bob Barker. But Afflicted, yes, you're very welcome. I think it sounds like you enjoyed it.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude, this is a great movie. Afflicted came out April 4th, 2014. This one was Hilarious when I was reading up on like the bios and stuff. Directed by Derek Lee and Cliff Prowse, starring Derek Lee and Cliff Prowse and Michael Gill and Bea Reyes and Benjamin Zetuan, who's Maurice in the movie. He's like the only one that I think didn't use his real name in the movie. Zach Gray, Jason Lee, Ido Van Bremen, Gary Redekop, and then a couple that I had never, a lot of them I hadn't heard of before. I knew who Derek Lee was, but I didn't know about this movie. Afflicted, essentially, it was a found footage film. These two friends are going on a adventure, and they're going to document a Jesus Christ, let me get my shit together now. They're going to document a trip. It's kind of like a last trip for Derek because he's got a brain disease. I think it was AMV, something with his brain swelling and bleeding. And then
AVM. He is an AVM.
AVM, that's what it is. Yes. AVM.
Yeah.
So they go to Barcelona, and Derek meets up with this woman, and they kind of go at it. And his buddy like tries to prank him, and he finds him, and he's all fucked up, half awake, just kind of like dying. And then Derek starts to show some signs that something is definitely wrong. I guess it doesn't really ruin it. He essentially contracts vampirism, turns into a vampire. And it's a found footage film following his like transformation, and this was really well acted. Like, it was super cool. It was the new concept. The found footage kind of hits the vampire world, so it was really cool. When I first saw what was going on, I was like, no way, is he really going to be a vampire? And then he starts, getting all pissed off and punches the wall, and then starts running really fast, and I'm like, this is fucking cool. And then all the way to like the end, like the ending, it was like, oh my god, she was just trying to be nice, blah blah blah. So it was, this was a really good one.
Starts eating normal food and
pukes his pasta, and then he eats the animals, and he's like, fuck, it's got to be human blood. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was. And then when he fucking rages out for the first time and takes all those fucking bullets and just rips that squad apart, that was
badass.
That was great. The whole thing was badass. It was. I think I was kind of blown away with like the acting and like the actual filmography, or the just like the technicalities of the movie were really, really good for a found footage. I have a hard time with found footage because it's been done so many times very poorly. So yeah, it was done very well. It was really good. I liked it.
I did. I really enjoyed it. I watched it earlier today, and the thing that like honestly stood out the most to me was the camera work in it.
Yeah,
because you're right. So many found footage films, they look so bad. It's so generic, and it's just basic and all this other kind of stuff. But this is, you're having the camera go through walls. You're having the camera where he jumps out like this, like 3-4 story building, and the camera follows him like all the way down and turns and looks up.
I was so worried it was going to be like hardcore Henry. Like, I thought it was going to be too much movement. But yeah, going out the window when he's like watching the ground the whole time, he's not looking around. It's like focusing on the jump.
Yeah, just looking down. Cool. And I was like,
and then he looks back up, and it was like, whoa.
Like that was just impressive. Like throughout. So it's like, it's like a found footage film. It's like if you took like Hardcore Henry and then the found footage genre and like put them together. Because Hardcore Henry has like some amazing camera work when the camera's going back between like a motorcycle and cars. So like really amazing, but it's just so shaky and everything on it. This is like this had a good like middle ground on it.
Yeah. But it was like when it was shaky, it was showing you what you needed to see.
Well, I tell you, there were moments in this that what really got me, apart from, yes, the camera work was fantastic. The POV perspective of him and his, basically showcasing how he's looking at the world with these newfound powers was really, really inspired. It also got me, there were moments in there, even though it was found footage, there were moments that rung a little bit of like Cronenberg. And that as Derek was going through his transformation, when he goes catatonic and he's, like that, and when he was all strung out on the bed and just kind of like, doing the twitch thing. And the way Cliff is kind of documenting it as it's taking place had a very The Fly feel to me. I just got like, kind of just memories of The Fly there. There was and I love that they took inspiration but didn't try to emulate it, which I thought was really, really good. And then, of course, they wanted to showcase the point of view of having these abilities, which I thought worked very, very well for found footage. And it was the shaky cam idea was where it needed to be and not too much. It was extremely well shot for a found footage with only moments that would remind you, oh, yeah, okay. It wasn't always at the forefront of your mind while watching, which I think was one of the things that made it really, really good. Not to mention the acting, because Derek and Cliff were very easy to relate to as friends.
Right. I could be way off, but I think the budget on this was fairly low too.
I can imagine it was.
I was trying to look it up. It was like
318,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's nothing.
It wasn't much.
That's
that is
nothing.
It didn't make shit either. Like when it came out, like it didn't make the money back, but it was still. I think it was one of those ones that just kind of got lost. But no, you make a good point with the Cronenberg stuff, and I was gonna say something and I fucking lost it. But the storyline was.
Well,
I remember.
Go ahead.
Did you catch the mid credits scene at the end? I was reading that a lot of people hadn't seen it, and I went back and rewatched it, the credits, and there was a mid credits scene that shows a couple of teenagers breaking into a pool. You didn't see it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, yeah, no, go back and watch it because somebody comes back.
Okay, we don't want to spoil it.
No, you're right.
For anybody who didn't happen to catch it.
Yeah, no, I read that there was a mid-credit scene, and I was like, I'm gonna go back and check that out. And I was like, no way.
I want to watch it after the podcast.
But I really, really, I wanted, like what I mentioned, that Derek and Cliff worked really, really well together. Not only did they both started the film, they both co-directed the film, they also wrote the film. And looking into their history, it's easy to understand why they have such great camaraderie, why they work so well together, is because pretty much throughout their careers, they've done nothing but work with each other. So that's actually a sign of a cool. They have partnership. They know they have that shorthand, and they work really, really well as far as bouncing ideas. Very similar to Adam and Richard. With their movie hosts, that they know each other, they know where their strengths lie. They focus on those things, they collaborate when they need to, and they pretty much have their stuff and they get their shit done. The sad thing is that Afflicted, and this kills me, was the last thing they did.
Yeah,
and there's nothing else.
When I was reading.
Hey, to be honest, I did in the research I did. Where did Derek and Cliff go? Because
it doesn't say. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't say anything about it, and I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that the movie didn't make any money. It was like had they given up?
Well, they shot the. Well, there's a big thing. I know that, and Eugene can explain this a little bit better than I can. But there's a process there, as far as it's not really what Derek and Cliff did, because Derek and Cliff made the movie. They secured the budget. They shoot the movie. Then they showed the movie at TIFF. Which I think, they showed the movie at Toronto in September. So it premiered at that film festival. But at the film festival, you then sell the film to a major distributor. I think Eugene, you can take it from here.
Yeah, so a lot of times what you do, if you're making an indie film, you would go, you make it, you enter it into a bunch of film festivals, and a lot of times distributors are there and they're looking to pick up content, or they're either looking to pick up content, meet people, and hear what their next project is, or pitch sessions or stuff like that. And that's how some of these films can get distribution, especially these indie films, and you have upcoming filmmakers and they can eventually work on the big budget studio stuff on it. But what I'm always curious about is sometimes you may make a film and you get put into that Hollywood system, and sometimes people just don't like it and they quit. And it's just
true.
I don't know if it's like, hey, they're still trying to get other stuff and they just have been unsuccessful, or if it's like some of the people out there who there's like, I made a film, I did it, I don't. A big one is Freddie Wong he did the YouTube channels, the action videos.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of YouTube.
Holy shit! Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, and I mean, he graduated from I think UCLA, and he was one of their like distinguished graduates and all this other kind of stuff from that film program. And he made his short films. He worked on films, and he got so burnt out on the Hollywood system that he pretty much quit and was just I don't want to do this anymore. I just like I don't. And I wonder if that's something
sometimes sometimes. Oh no, just go ahead, Eugene.
Oh yeah, and so I think sometimes we also hear a lot with child actors when people are like, oh, well, they failed at acting because they blah 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 blah, like Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Oh, he failed at acting. No, he said he was tired of acting. He wanted to do something else.
It's understandable. I mean, you know, you get into it as a kid, and you find out later that you don't like it. Like, fine, bye.
Well, or sometimes people just want to move on to things, or like you said, like sometimes you make a movie, because I mean, how often does that happen? I mean, you can count through it. Like this is exactly what happened with Saw. Okay, so the guys who did Saw, made the short, took it to film festivals. It immediately got picked up by Lionsgate. Lionsgate said, we see a franchise in this, we're going to go. They went hog wild. Now we have like a bajillion fucking Saw movies.
36 Saw movies.
It literally became the Hollywood movie. If there was not a Saw movie coming out that Hollywood, then Lionsgate had somehow failed. So it was, the whole tagline was, it's Halloween. Halloween. Yes. So I don't know. This is so weird because Johnny talks to me and I can hear him in my headset, but I don't think anybody else can. But
he just
it
pops
was
in
the
and
whole
adds
tagline. It's Halloween. It's Halloween. If it's Halloween, it must be Saw. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's where you get there. But not everybody gets to experience that. Some people, you send stuff to a festival and it goes to the festival and then that's it, and you never sees anything else from there. You get lucky if you get picked up and you're able to sell the film to a major distributor. And that's an experience I wish every filmmaker could have. Maybe one day Eugene and I will do that. We'll put together a short. We'll send it there. We'll get to move it. And I could literally do it. Be like, oh wow, I sold a movie. Well, I guess I'm done. I just don't. I don't feel the pull to do it anymore. I seriously doubt that. I want a fucking Oscar on my mantle. That I want that. So, but it's never. I mean, it's never going to happen. But nonetheless, that's
Don't
something.
say that.
Not with that attitude.
Jesus.
Not with that attitude, you won't. I'm saying maybe a Golden Globe, maybe an Emmy.
Yeah.
Get nominated at least.
Just a fucking plaque that says I was at an award show. That's all I want.
Just a nod. If I could have nominee, that you even get the nominee, Academy Award nominee. I'll take that. I don't have to win, but nonetheless, sometimes you land it. Sometimes you hit that big milestone, and you're just kind of like, wow. And you realize, you look at all the work it took to get that one. And sometimes some people could feel it's just not worth it, which is a shame because both Cliff and Derek are extraordinarily talented individuals. And I would have loved to see the scene, maybe a follow-up to Afflicted. Probably not would have been great, but at least something else. Like, push into something. Just said Hollywood instead of Halloween twice in a row. No, I meant to say Halloween. I was saying this. I was saying the Saw. I was saying the Saw tagline.
Yeah.
Right. No, but you did say Hollywood.
Either way. We'll fix it in post, okay?
We'll ADR that, so we'll just insert Halloween.
Sitting in my office. ADR.
Yeah, so if it's
Hollywood. No, your tone's all fucking wrong. Do it again. God damn it. But I wish I'd seen more from them. I think that they were a really, really talented team and really, really smart. Unfortunately, maybe not. Or who knows? Maybe they have a super secret project that they've been working on for 7 years. I don't know.
Dude, how dope would that be? All of a sudden, it's
when did Avid
watching TV, and it's like Derek Lee. Oh, no way!
From the makers of Afflicted.
And of course, it's not really on them. The failure of the film at the box office is not really on them because they sold the movie to the distributor. The distributor picks it up, and then they distribute the film out to theaters. Maybe they just didn't do it right. They didn't put the money into marketing. They didn't do this. Maybe they just needed another horror film to kind of round out their schedule to make sure that they still had presence at the box office, whatever. So, but that's not on them. It's like, they made their movie, they show it, and they made a movie, they took it to festivals, and they sold it. Boom. I mean, that doesn't happen every single,
Hold on, I gotta check
sometimes.
Oh no, never mind.
I'm
sorry.
Lifetime filmmakers never get that opportunity.
And
Oh, go ahead.
And also,
Gone.
sometimes it just depends on the climate. You can make an excellent film, but if that's not what people are going to see. Like in 2014, you're getting the tail end of the found footage genre because you had all those that came out in late 2000s, early 2010s. Maybe it just came out too late, and people are just already. And I think this is better shot. I'm not impressed with a lot of cinematography from found footage. I think it's cheap. You can get away with a lot of shitty stuff. Can't get in like regular productions. But this to me was shot very well. But that train may have already sailed when it came out.
Here, I can tell you right now, Paranormal
Awesome.
Activity, the marked ones came out in 2014. So I wonder if that had something to do with it.
Yeah, and I when the marked ones came out, I felt like when the marked ones.
Actually, no, that was. Oh no, go ahead. No, I'm saying there's a bit of news there is that they announced the next Paranormal Activity, and now I think it recently just got pulled from the schedule.
Yeah, they pulled it.
Mm-hmm. So,
but no, it's because like you're talking about, Eugene, found footage stuff was kind of wrapping up. At that point in time, it had been beat to death. So I wonder if it had to be like, because everybody probably had just seen, depending on when it came out, because I think the marked ones came out at the beginning of the year in 2014. So I think it was probably just like, all right, everybody's done with it. It's over. So I don't know, wrong time.
Definitely.
Either way, it's a great movie.
Yeah,
it was definitely a fantastic movie. I think I can ask the audience a question on this one now. I think we've kind of hit everything on this movie. Definitely go check it out because this was absolutely probably one of the best found footage movies I've ever seen. I want to ask the audience though, what do you like most about found footage? I'm gonna have to throw this one at JL real quick. You punched in wrong on the fucking script. I was like, I think
no. What do I do? Because there's so many found footage movies out there, and right. I was just really, really curious as to all the horror fans we out here. What do they enjoy about found footage? Is there a particular thing that people really dig?
Right. And that's kind of
it's just
aspects of it. Like what parts of found footage? Like I like the fact that it makes you feel like you're right there.
Yeah.
When it's done right, like in Afflicted, like there's points where you're like holding your breath because you feel like you're like the window jump scene. You're like, oh God, you could feel yourself falling because it's so it's shot so well. Like, so yeah, like when it's done right and you feel like you're in the story.
It got me the same thing it got me with Blair Witch Project. I never experienced a movie like that. And but I think that's because there's a big difference between seeing found footage on your television screen and seeing found footage on a movie screen. Yeah. Because Blair Witch was like a fucking roller coaster ride in the theater. And Blair Witch on your TV is kind of like, why am I watching an episode of Unsolved Mysteries? So
okay, so here's another
there's a big
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, man. You were talking.
Oh no, I was trying to because we were talking about why it didn't do so well, and I was just looking up some found footage movies. As Above, So Below came out that year as well, so it was like it was just like two big ones right around a small indie one.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the case. You had the Blair Witch that come out, and you had a little surge there, and then Paranormal Activity was the one that really kind of pushed it. Because then you get like Cloverfield and Quarantine and all the other ones that came out. And with Paranormal Activity, I like the way it was shot because it made it feel more real. That it was like, because it's like surveillance footage and it feels more intimate because it's like handheld. It looks like home video footage and it just makes it feel real. Whereas I think a lot of the other found footage films, it feels like Hollywood trying to be real.
Right.
On it. And
interesting.
Yeah, because I mean that's we look at the Blair Witch Project, that's what sold people. It was real. The cast didn't do any interviews, they didn't do Tonight Show, they didn't do anything. Their marketing point was, we found this, it is real, watch it. And that's what scared the shit out of people on it. That's why Blair Witch was so successful on it. If they went and they marketed it like you would market a traditional film, that film would have been half as successful.
Right.
It wouldn't have.
Yeah, well, and then the actors fucking off for a long time. afterwards was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Well, definitely let us know what for all of our live audience, or for anybody listening to this on the podcast, let us know in the comments, or shoot us up or hit us up at weekinhorror@gmail.com with what do you dig the most about the found footage genre? What aspects of it, or maybe the camera work, maybe the way it captures acting, or whatever. Just what do you dig most about it when you see it? We'd love to know. So hit us up there.
Yeah.
So what is next, Mr. Eugene?
Come on.
All right.
Same day, a few years before.
Same day, a few years before, we have The Ruins, released April 4th, 2008, directed by Carter Smith, and it stars Jonathan Tucker, Jenna Malone, Sean Ashmore, Lori Ramsey, and Joe Anderson. And you have a group of basically your standard early 20-year-olds that go out to Mexico and stumble across some Aztec-like ruins and then start getting attacked by things like vines and basically nature as a whole, and shit goes crazy. Shit hits the fan.
They start fucking with shit they're not supposed to fuck
I swear
with.
that's good. That's good. That's going to be the Eugene quote on movie posters.
No, you know what? When we go to
quotation marks, when
we need to make Eugene a T-shirt that just says, "Then, can you hear me?"
Yeah, we can hear you.
Now you're just fucking with me, man. I said we got to get Eugene a T-shirt for Texas Frightmare Weekend that just says, "And then shit got real," and then underneath it do a little dash and says Eugene on it.
Weekend Horror Podcast.
Yep. And then shit got real.
Hilarious.
Shit got real.
But yeah, The Ruins.
Well, the ruins was very impressive. I was anticipating something when I first saw the picture, and it was kind of like, the ruins, and then it's kind of like, I think what was the friggin' Terror Has Evolved. And I was like, oh, so it's like a monster flick or something of the nature. I was not aware. I had not read the book that it was based on, which apparently, according to the author, the book was so dark that they had to do a different ending, because if they kept the ending of the book, then people would have felt like they were just watched The Mist. Yeah, they would just want to eat a bullet. It was so the end of the book is so fucking. The end of the book is so dark, and in this one, I was highly impressed, to be perfectly honest. Not only with the fact that technically there's no monster, it's a bunch of fucking plants, but done so incredibly well. And I love the fact that Carter Smith was so adamant on the vines being something that, one, if you saw them from a distance, you could easily accept that these things were real, that they're just vines that are overgrowing this Mayan temple. It's like you could easily accept it. He wanted them to be, if you saw them from a distance, you could just pass them off as just they're just vines. And it wasn't until you got up close and started examining them and really looking at them that they started looking really fucking off, and that there was something very, very strange about these things, because we knew that the camera was going to come in, they're going to be caught in this claustrophobic space on top of this little temple, and eventually they're going to have to come face to face with these damn things. And of course the whole sequence going down into the temple via the winch. And then the whole, when the whole tunnel comes alive, they figure out that the fucking plants are making the sounds. That was creepy as shit. Being inside. That's one way to get me in a horror film, is simulating being inside the monster, you've been swallowed. It's an awful feeling. Because when you think about it, being eaten whole is god awful. Jurassic World, when the assistant got eaten by the mosasaur, I was like, holy fuck, because she wouldn't have been dead. She'd have been alive. She'd have been alive going down. The same thing in Meg. When the guy's in the water, and then all of a sudden the Meg comes up and just swallows him whole. I was like, oh fuck, he's going down. He's alive the whole time. That's so terrible. It just gives me the heebie-jeebies every single time, the idea of that. But I was really impressed with the effects were good. But the way the characters encompass the idea that these things were growing inside of them, the paranoia that builds when you're like, because it could just be a normal itch, but look at the situation you're in. No, they might be inside you. So
Turns out they were. You know.
when she was fucking carving into her fucking thigh.
Oh my god. Oh, dude. Yo, and I saw a lot of people were talking about how they like this movie, and Mandevil, you rarely winced as much. It seriously, like that movie was like, it made your body feel just like itchy the whole fucking movie. Like, yeah, that gave me the creeps. The whole thing, I loved the aspect where they're like, you know, the locals are there and they're like, oh my god, the locals are trying to kill us because we're fucking with their ruins. And they're like, no, dude, they're just trying to save their own fucking asses. Like, they're not. You guys fucked up. Like, they're not the bad guys.
Mandevil just said, and those practical effects when she's peeling off.
Oh no! If we gotta go practical effects, the leg amputation.
That
bro,
was,
yeah.
I mean, they got to the bone on it.
Yeah. Oh.
Like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like thinking more and more about it. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Amputation with a rock. Oh, hot. Oh,
yeah.
God, that was just so.
No, yeah.
That or being suffocated to death by these things. I mean, and the fact, and then it gets really fucking wild when they start playing, when the plants start playing each other out against, or playing all the humans against each other by mimicking sounds that will piss them off, as though they're smart enough to understand, human psychology, and to be, that shit was fucked up. Which means that the plants are listening, they know what you're doing,
Could they remake
they're
this
always
movie?
watching.
Could they do like a second one now? Did they do a second one?
I honestly don't think this movie should ever be remade. This movie was for what the book was. If you read the book, and the book ends much darker. At the end of the book, Jenna Malone's character, she ends up killing herself to try and be a warning against other people showing up, because she realizes she's going to die anyway. So she ends up killing herself so that and lays her body down in the trail so that people come across and be warned off from from going down there and becoming victims themselves. But then the vines grab her body and drag her into the brush.
Hell no, you ain't fucking with my lunch, bitch.
So damn. they have Great Parents, right? They have brains. They're smart. Like, or maybe like a collective intelligence. Who fucking knows? But
like a hive.
Something that, and I think, and given that this movie came out 2008, so we're in the first 2000, before 2010, a big thing that was hitting the kind of airwaves and everybody was talking about was obviously climate change, the concept of the world turning against us, which the author was stating, it was kind of in his mind when he wrote this. It was the concept that we are not so in control of this world as we like to think we are. And you never know, if you go into the darker, untrafficked areas of the planet, you may find really, really scary stuff. You suddenly realize that you were wholly unprepared before. I think the story about those two German hikers who disappeared into the rainforest.
Oh,
and all they found was their
You're talking about the two? Oh, they were Dutch.
Oh, Dutch. Two Dutch hikers who vanished, and all they found of them was some bone scraps and their camera, which had because they were trying to light their way with the flash of the camera, because they got lost in the dark. And that's fucking shit like that is scary. We don't know what ran afoul of them, but who knows. And the idea that nature fighting back against humankind, because we are the evolutionary pressure for the planet now. We're so dominant in everything that we do. We can't just say, we can't say that nature wouldn't adapt and evolve to our presence so that we couldn't kill it anymore, because that's technically what natural selection does.
Try to wipe us out? You mean like by
or no, just adapt to
global pandemic? The Earth is like.
I wasn't going to go topical. I wasn't going to go that topical.
No, but hey, you're absolutely right. The whole before 2010 and going into the climate change and all that stuff, there was another movie that came out that tried to do the same thing, but very, very fucking poorly the same year, actually. Oh, fucking Marky Mark. The Happening came out. Yeah. around the same time, which was
Exactly.
same kind of topic. You know, it was like the Earth is fighting back, defending itself because we as humans have fucked everything up, and we're terrible for the planet. Which off fucking topic. I heard a conspiracy theory today about Mars being inhabited by humans at one point, and we fucked up all the resources there and nuked it and went to Earth, and now Mars is starting to restore itself, and we're trying to go back to Mars. So it's like, you know, we're just going to keep fucking shit up and bouncing planets until the end of fucking time. But seriously, the concept is terrifying. The whole nature fighting back concept is absolutely terrifying, because if in fact plants and animals decided one day that humans weren't, you know, necessary for the survival of the planet, they could take us out, no problem. If one day one of them evolved. I just saw a video about monkeys are starting to evolve to like use tools and build boats, and like they're starting to get smarter, and that's fucking scary because we're the bad guy when it comes to the planet. It's like, man, if I get fucking attacked by monkeys in a boat,
it puts forward. It's an extreme example of the Earth or nature itself just adapting to our presence. Is that we've been, you know, our actions in the world are an evolutionary pressure to everything else. So us, Jinju, don't plants crave Brondo? It has what plants need. It has electrolytes. But the idea that our presence and our actions could trigger, or could be the pressure that generates some sort of species of plant or animal that you know, they adapt to us, and you know, it's much harder for us to kill them, or they live a more parasitic or symbiotic, you know, nature relationship with us. Who knows what you could generate? But I like the idea of this. And of course they brought it up. Mandel said, I don't know if the tribe was trying to save their own asses. I got the feeling they were there with a tradition passed down to keep this away from the world. And I agree with that. I do. I agree that.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I think it was basically that. Yeah, those were the Mayan ancestors that had pretty much were salting the earth around this thing to make sure it never spread to the rest of the planet.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that was the thing, was it could spread, and they knew it could spread, and they've been around it for so long that they knew that they, you know, if those people come down, kill them, and that's it. And that's the end of that.
Oh, because of the spores on their clothes.
Yeah.
Because as they progressed through the film, their clothes kept getting more gunked up with all the spores from the vines themselves.
Right.
And
as soon as you touch
take that outside, take that outside the group. That's it. It spreads. It's all over the world.
God, that reminds me of a plant in Australia. It's native to Australia, and I could be completely off. So anybody that lives there, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a plant that has little needles on it. And if you touch it, it causes like extreme severe pain to the point where people have killed themselves because it hurts so bad for so long. And there was like a story I was reading about the plant that a horse actually touched it and like ended up killing itself somehow. But like plants that have defense mechanisms are out there, and it's like, fuck, that's terrifying. Like you could just be like walking around one day and all of a sudden
if I remember correctly, and PhD Tony is in the chat. PhD Tony just said, so this is weird to me. The theory the trees did it for the happening just seems so dumb. Yes, that was the theory Marky Mark comes up with, but he's obviously wrong. Worst science teacher ever. What? No. I digress. Yes. Oh, Jinju said not just on their clothes, but in their bodies as well. Yeah, this was such a fantastic body horror. It really was. But we can ask PhD Tony, because PhD Tony, I believe it is the Gimpy plant, is the one that Alex is referring to. It's the one that causes like it's a stinging type of bush. And yes, it is. Oh, so yes, there is such a plant. The silicon slivers burrow into your skin and can't be removed. And I think it's called the Gimpy plant. Let me check this out. No, yes, they call it the suicide plant.
Yeah.
Wow. When you have something in your country called a suicide plant,
it's the rule of Australia. Everything is trying to kill you.
Everything will try to kill you.
If you want to talk about horror fighting back, just go to Australia.
You think you're top of the food chain until you're
it's one of the only countries that like a nuke hasn't gone off in, or there hasn't been like a war fought on in Australia. minus the emu war, but that's a totally different story. But and then like so it's like it's just evolved to be just badass on its own. It's like, fine, we don't need wars. We can kill you with plants.
One thing, I dug this. I dug this as a body horror, and because Jinju just brought it up, it was not that the spores were obviously the spores were getting on their clothes, and we see that the spores kind of growing on their clothes in this environment that they're in. The longer they're up there, but also they were breathing them in, and so and that is most likely where the vines were getting into them, is because they were growing from the inside. They didn't go into this kind of detail, but in the book, there's a scene when one of the after they discover that one of the hikers' legs have been eaten away by the vines, because the vines also have an acidic sap. So when they grab the vines, try to pull them off, it burns their hands, and so they find the guy's legs eaten away, and one of the girls vomits. She throws up over by it, and then one of the vines comes out, and then comes out and starts drinking the fluids. So the plants are after the fluids in their bodies. Is pretty much what they're after. And as a body horror, I thought this was really, really cool, because I hadn't seen anything along these lines. Not along these, not like the ruins. There's been some like of stuff growing inside of you, or things that are not supposed to be in there being in there or whatever. But the idea of this. So natural, such a thing. I mean, obviously this plant doesn't exist, but the idea of that is very, very freaky. A parasitic organism preying upon you, just to and now I get the tagline: terror has evolved. That this is a plant that has evolved to this point that just feeds off of human beings. And what it did to people, obviously, it gets into your brain, starts making you insane. You start hacking on yourself in various ways, thinking that I just need to go over here. I can just get it. And oh God, that poor girl.
Yeah, that.
I want to know more about where it came from.
All they had was a fucking Swiss Army knife. They only had a Swiss Army knife.
Remember, if you have to amputate a limb, right? I was watching an interview with the guy who did the 127 hours.
127 hours, yeah.
Yeah. The trick is because a pocket knife will not cut through bone. You have to break the bone. So you break the bone and then cut the tissue around it. That's how you sever. If you have to amputate something, that's how you do it.
I saw that interview too. It was fucking brutal.
Yeah,
like, when he was explaining that shit.
Well, see, that was the benefit of the ruins. There was no flesh to cut around. They'd eaten his legs away, so all they had to do was break the bones with a fucking rock. Oh my God, so fucking gruesome.
Brutal.
Oh yeah, it was a rough one. I think someone mentioned in the chat earlier that they had never winced this many times watching a movie, because there was some moments in that.
Oh, yeah.
They lost the emu war. Yes, they did.
Yes.
Nature fights back. That sounded more like a giant. It sounded more like a giant pigeon. I don't know. Let me see. Oh, Man Devil says this plant doesn't exist. Ha! In Australia, it won the best in show at the National Gardening Show 3 years ago.
I picture some Australian gardener who was just like, the plant started like growing out, and he's like, bam, slaps the plant, and the plant just retracts back in its like pot.
No, I'm sorry. Something about the Gimpy plant that I just remembered too. Australians apparently eat it if it's de-nettled or whatever. They take the spines out and they eat it.
I'm assuming they boil it.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Fire, stick it in a.
Weird.
I don't know.
That's weird.
Australians are hardcore, man.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Somebody said the tourists make up most of the deaths there, and it's like, yeah, because like I'm a northerner in Texas. When it went below zero, you're just used to it. Like, it's there. You don't fuck with it. But then our dumbasses come to Australia. They're like, yeah, and we touch a fucking blue-ringed octopus, and we're done.
Yeah, we die. And they take the Gimpy plant, and they're like just gnawing on it, like it's midday snack.
Oh, Shinji says, good thing we didn't have to fight cassowaries. Yes, cassowaries are assholes.
Dude, they're fucking dinosaurs. They will kill you.
Yeah. But I actually want to ask the audience, because we talked a lot about nature horror. What is your favorite nature horror? We talked about the ruins, and there's some other ones like frogs. I mean, just nature rising back. There is The Happening. That is a film that somebody made. But nature rising
What?
up.
That is a movie that was made by a person.
A person, yeah, with people.
What
in
the
it.
You didn't see it. Don't worry about it.
But what is your favorite nature horror film?
Little
Shop of Horrors.
That is a fun movie. I like that movie. Feed me, Seymour.
PhD Tony says his interpretation, it is not possible that plants or anyone else for that matter can develop that sophisticated combination of neurotoxins without considerable trial and error. Ooh, maybe they were made.
Oh,
Alien experiment that got
Are
away.
we talking about plants or the coronavirus? Dun, dun, dun. Where did China go?
Oh, don't even start. Don't even start. You're gonna get the whole thing nuked, dude. Come on.
Oh, fuck, dude. Shit, I just demonetized this forever.
Well, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for.
It's been a great
No, we
year.
weren't expecting a season finale. A series finale. All right, let's jump to the next one. What do we got?
Yeah, what do we got?
Okay, this one's a gnarly one. So, released April 8th, 1977. We have the movie Rabid. So this was a body horror film by director David Cronenberg, also written by David Cronenberg, starring Marilyn Chambers. Starring Marilyn Chambers, Frank Moore, Joe Silver, and Howard Rishpan. And such an interesting concept. Now, obviously, early David Cronenberg, really digging on the body horror idea, and of course, other topical issues. And basically, in a nutshell, in the movie Rabid, Rose and her boyfriend Hart get into a motorcycle accident while up in Canada, and when Rose wakes up, she's in the hospital and badly messed up. Well, they use a particular type of technique to heal, kind of an experimental technique to heal her, and she heals back and she's perfectly fine. But then discovers that she has something new, an appendage that comes out from under her arm, a stinger that bites and attacks people and drinks their blood, and then turns them into zombies. It's so extreme. It's exactly what you'd expect from David Cronenberg, but an intense little film. Obviously, extremely graphic, especially for 1977. And the casting of Marilyn Chambers, who was at the time I think was one of the most famous at the time in 1977, was one of the most famous porn stars at the time. And Cronenberg. If we could change the posters over, that'd be awesome. Just when you get a chance. So Marilyn Chambers is one of the most well-known porn stars at the time. I believe that she starred in a movie called Behind the Green Door, and it was a mainstream porn flick. And Cronenberg was convinced to cast her.
Yeah, because Sissy Spacek
was convinced to cast her. Exactly, but Cronenberg didn't like her accent.
Right, and well, Ivan Reitman
Cronenberg didn't dig her accent.
Yeah, Ivan Reitman suggested Marilyn Chambers because the 70s sex appeal, and like they wanted something in there that was going to pull people in. Definitely, the whole cat. There was a lot of interesting cast choices on this, but yeah, no, that was another thing about Marilyn Chambers. She had a song out called Benihana at the time, and like about half an hour into the film, it's actually playing in the movie. That was like a little piece of trivia that I found out, which was kind of cool. But like, could you imagine like being the producer on this and be like, I don't think we should use Sissy Spacek. What? We should use this porn star instead.
Well, I mean, that's the big thing. Sissy Spacek, because she didn't do this one, she ended up doing Carrie, and so Brian De Palma.
The whole Texas accent thing.
Excellent movie there.
Yeah. And the whole Texas accent thing turned Brightman off of Spacek in the beginning. So he was trying to get rid of her from the get-go. But there was a lot of stuff in
That
this
was
movie.
pretty stony. You think?
Go ahead.
Well, it was pretty stony. You think for 1977 to cast a mainstream porn star as the lead in your film, and I mean that's a giant risk, especially for because Cronenberg wasn't greatly established as one of the legends in the industry at the time. So to cast this girl, and Ivan Reitman, that's a hell of a pedigree to talk to and to be like, hey, if you need to cast this girl. And then it turns out, she's absolutely amazing. She was fantastic in the role. Even Cronenberg was like, he was blown away by her work ethic and how she gave everything she could to play the part of Rose, to do this part and do it the best she absolutely could. It was kind of like even David Cronenberg was surprised, like, holy shit, this girl's really fucking talented. So It's awesome that she got this opportunity to do this and to break out, because oftentimes when you're in adult pictures, no shame on doing pornographic films, but it's very difficult to transition from that film style to from that area into mainstream. Very hard. Few can pull it off.
Well, what to me, what made sense was, so when she ended up going to Hollywood to go do the whole actress dream and everything like that, and she just started doing a pornographic film, she thought at the time that that's what she had to do to be successful. So she wasn't necessarily going to Hollywood I'm going to be a porn star, and that was it. No, she wanted to be an actress and thought, well, this is just her paying her dues. So she went and she did those. And then she realized, well, no, now she couldn't get cast anywhere. So it was toxic. No mainstream studio would touch her. And so when she actually finally got the opportunity to be in a regular film, of course she's gonna dive 100% in, because that's why she got in the film business to begin with.
And she worked her ass off in this movie. David Cronenberg even commented on how hard she worked on it. Was very impressed with her work ethic on the movie. So she tried and she made it. It was cool.
Absolutely.
There's a lot in this movie.
Go
ahead, give him one.
I was saying, given the themes of the film and what was going on, I mean, this was. I can see it from an emotional perspective, but also from a physical perspective. This was I would consider one of the toughest films seen from the 70s. In the 70s, you typically don't get this level of physicality, but for this girl to do this and especially for the late 70s, to get on film and do this mainstream and depict herself in this fashion, especially when she's known for her beauty, she's known for, this is what people typically go to watch her for, and to take this kind of role where she's literally become a monster. Okay. There is no ifs, ands, buts about it. You feed off human blood off of an appendage that comes out of your friggin' armpit, and you turn your victims into zombies that then destroy everything around you. I mean, goddamn, this girl blew my mind. That the type of open mind, the type of dedication and fortitude it takes for an actress to do this, especially so quickly. I mean, I wish her star had blown up a little bit more than it had. I think she did and still has a lot to give. But I'm so glad that she got to do this one, because this girl is legend.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad she actually was able to go and break into the mainstream, because you're right. It's so difficult in that transition. It's really, really difficult. And usually whenever a mainstream film will cast a porn star, it's usually really gimmicky. Like, for example, Tracy Lords in Blade. It's real gimmicky. It's real gimmicky. It's like, oh, you remember her and she's in this and all sorts of kind of stuff. And there are other films that have done the same thing on it. But this feels like a legitimate casting choice. And it worked.
No, it was good.
Did you know that Tracy Lords was in Virtuosity?
She's been in a lot of things.
It's so you mentioned her, but I didn't even realize it. Denzel Washington, Russell Crowe, silly sci-fi thriller movie, but you can see hallmarks. These guys are really super talented actors and everything. They're legends now. But there was a scene in there when Russell Crowe's Sid 6.7 goes in and he takes over a nightclub and he's making them all scream to make his orchestra. The fucking band, that was Tracy Lords' band. And I was like, holy shit, it's fucking Tracy Lords. She has no lines except for the singing that she does. She has no lines. And then when he pulls out the gun, she runs away. And she has this one last fleeting look, like I'm Tracy Lords. And then she takes off.
So we have Jessica G in the chat.
So Jessica G is here. We were just
Never
informed by our
shoot in your
tech guy
bedroom.
that Jessica G has now called out Eugene on some shit going on in the background there.
Well, just ignore the camera that I have in the corner. Don't worry about that.
he's over there like fucking American Psycho. Yeah.
Oh god.
No, I legitimately actually have a camera. I legitimately actually have a camera on the corner. It's just not pointed at the bed right now.
Yeah, we can't say that, Jessica. No, okay, dude, check this out. A little warning to all of our cast. We love Jessica so much. She is our stream queen. But be very, very careful. Read what she types first, because sometimes she types something out just to get you to say it so she can get a sound bite. So you have to be very, very careful, because you may be used. Because everything you say can and will be used against you in a Jessica G stream. I shit you not. So you have no idea. She's most likely put together a supercut of all the times I said titty last week. Because I said them a bunch.
Titty.
Very careful what you say.
Oh man.
Speaking
Now,
of
now everybody's like not talking, like, oh shit.
Oh god, it got all awkward now.
Speaking of lines,
Movies,
I just got done doing a commercial. See that? I feel like that.
No, I said that. I just tried to warn you.
I just broke the rule.
That's right.
Oh,
That's right.
Jessica G says someone called the Needed Agency. I just spotted a gun show in Eugene's bedroom.
Well, yeah, when you got these guns.
Careful.
Like
The ATF's gonna show up. God. Anyways, now that we've all been fucking suppressed by Jessica G.
The ATF. I think you mean the DTF.
Oh shit!
Oh, did that really take you that long to catch? Come on, dude. According to Johnny, I am -1 point for that joke. Okay, I'll let myself out. One thing also very cool. I mean, and there was kind of a theme when putting I don't intend for these themes to show up, but we got a lot of body horror ones. And this one particularly was the medical body horror, and I think that was Cronenberg definitely touched on it in The Fly, and in his later films. There was an idea there, but I think this one really did. The idea of you go into surgery, you trust your doctors, you trust the hospital. That is what it is. But the terror that you're out, you're unconscious, you're pretty much, your life is in their hands. They could do whatever they want to you. You could go under completely normal, come out with a freaking tentacle coming out of your freaking armpit, or a human centipede. You never know what these doctors have in mind. But the idea of the medical body horror, I think, is also pretty creepy, because a lot of people are really terrified of going under the knife, because you have no control, you're unconscious, who knows what could possibly happen. You may never wake up. So that's a scary concept. And you wake up and your body is no longer yours.
I mean, yeah. Because the amount of trust that you have to put into doctors and surgeons when you are going under, you believe that they have your best interests in mind, and most of the time they do. But even they had a dentist, it was out in around Florida, Georgia, in that area, who he was putting patients under, and he was pulling extra teeth because the amount of teeth he pulled based on how dental insurance would pay. So he was pulling perfectly good teeth out of people so that he can get that extra money for dental insurance on it. And he basically got busted and all this other kind of stuff. But people they didn't know on it. All of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, you went in, so I'm going to pull one teeth, and I pulled 4 or I pulled 5 on it. And so on top of
that's it.
Yeah, it was messed up.
It's just crazy. It's just yeah.
And he's probably still in jail right now on it, but you're so vulnerable at that point. So vulnerable, because you go under and it's like a blink, and you hope everything's better.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of horror, one of the big things is that vulnerability. That's why it's like you're under the knife, in the bathroom, in the shower, these moments where people are their most vulnerable. And that's where horror can sneak in there. What if somebody showed up there?
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
I've had 7 major surgeries and I've never thought of that. Now I'm thinking back to everyone like, did I leave with all my parts? Probably not though.
They could take a kidney, you'll never know.
You can see the surgeon. Well, he's not going to need this one.
Let me ask
the chat. So, David Cronenberg, legendary director, and of course, still going strong. What is your favorite Cronenberg horror film? He's done so many. Let us know in the live chat or down in the comments below, or hit us up weekendhorror@gmail.com. We'd love to hear what you think. What is your favorite David Cronenberg horror film? So many to choose from, but all of them fantastic. Yeah. I think we're going to hear a lot of The Fly. So definitely let us know.
I'm going to come up a few times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, Jessica G was saying, can my new channel get a shout out, please? It's called Jessica and Tony Talking Titties. I got set up again. I thought she had a legitimate. I saw her name. I saw Tony, and I got set up. I didn't even realize I said it.
Oh my god!
I fell for it.
Oh.
I'm a Gullah calf, man. I did. I'm so trusting. No, I'm so trusting.
She knew her target.
I'm not even gonna try and justify it. She fucking got me. I fucking fell for it. That's what happened. Fuck it,
Bro.
Alex. We got one more movie to talk about. Bring it on.
You walked right the fuck into that wall, dude. It's weird because we keep stopping and like probably looking around because we're listening to Johnny talking in the background. So if we just pause randomly, that's
I have to address this. So awesome. Friendly Antinatalist said Videodrome. All hail Debbie Harry. Yes.
Hell yeah.
That was amazing. That was an awesome one. And James Woods was the first time I'd ever seen James Woods not explicitly be an asshole in every single choice he made. I really enjoyed Videodrome. Very fucking creepy. The film Existenz had some real hallmarks of Videodrome later on. Jinju says, poor JL inserted foot all the way to the hip. Yes, I did. Nom. But PhD Tony said something interesting. Is this the point where I say I find body horror too squicky? I'm not sure. I think he's fine. He's very squeamish. Is that body horror kind of freaks him out? So stuff like, I'm assuming stuff like The Fly or Videodrome or Existenz or shit like that. It's probably going to freak him out quite a bit. Or like because I know he loves The Thing. Body horror stuff.
Like Tietsu.
That's interesting.
Kind of thing.
Oh, like Tetsuo the Iron Man.
Disgusting or disturbing, like very unpleasant.
Interesting. So it's not a slang because he's from Australia.
No, it's definitely a word.
I just hear in the States. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Here in the States, people say, "Oh, that's fucked up." They don't say, "Oh, that's so squicky." I just
I learned something new today.
I'm gonna start saying that now.
Skydiver Tanner, hey, glad to see Skydiver Tanner, thank you so much for stopping by. He says, drive by hello to you all, lovely people. Wish I could stay, but love you all and hope everyone is having a great week. Keep up the amazing content, JL. Thank you, Skydiver Tanner. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. And Grave Paradise says, Human Centipede is a no for me.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a no for a lot of people.
Yeah, no.
Okay, I'm not falling for it again, Jessica. It ain't happening. It's not happening, Jessica. I'm aware of it. Shame on you, young lady. I can't do the deal because I've fallen for the trap so many times.
Fool me once, shame
Oh,
on you.
man.
Fool me 37 times in a podcast, you're a fucking idiot.
That's exactly. And Tony Regime says scanners or Videodrome. Yes, both excellent. All right, so yeah, Alex, we got one more. Take us away, dude.
All right, we're gonna finish this one off with actually one of my personal favorites, Hush, April 8th, 2016.
I thought you liked this one.
Yeah, this is hands down one of my favorite. Directed by Mike Flanagan, and written by Mike Flanagan and Kate Siegel, starring John Gallagher Jr., Kate Siegel, Michael Trucco, Samantha Sloan, and Emma Graves. This movie is a home invasion style movie, but the twist of this is the main character is deaf. So she's in her house and a mass killer is trying to kill her, and she is using everything she's learned from being deaf to ward off this killer. I love this movie because it brings in a concept that most of us obviously don't. If you're listening to this, you can hear it's not something that we have to deal with. And so like being scared because of it's a home invasion slasher movie, but also having to think about like the fact that she can't actually hear what's going on and she has to try to be quiet, but she doesn't know if she is or not. The whole movie it's on the edge of my seat the whole time I was watching this. It was great. And the fucking performance, the acting was fantastic.
Absolutely. I love this film. I think it's one of the best that's come out in probably about the last 10 years. And the amount of work that put into it, the amount, it came off so beautifully well. And so Mike Flanagan actually got the idea of having a deaf character because he wanted to do a silent horror film, or was a film that had no dialogue on it. And so him and his wife were working on that, but they just kind of got to the point where it's like, if you had no dialogue, typically what happens is when you listen to silence for so long, your ear is looking for different sounds, and it'll start stretching out further and further. And so what he was afraid of is making like a silent film or a film with no dialogue was that it would eventually pull people out of the film, because if you're watching it in your home, all of a sudden you're hearing the clock, you're hearing the stove, you're hearing all this other kind of stuff, and it would just naturally pull you out.
Right.
So they had to figure out ways to work around it, and they ended up, to try to help make it interesting, and also use a lot of Steadicam and stuff like that with the cinematography. So what they ended up having to do is actually start putting in sounds. They had to start do a lot of ADR and also other kind of stuff to bring out some of the dialogue. For those who don't know, ADR stands for automatic dialogue replacement, and it's whenever you shoot something and then go back in the studio and record the person saying that line, and you sync it up with their face on camera. So they'll watch a video of themselves with time code, and they'll watch the playback, and they try to mimic to make sure it kind of syncs up properly. So that's ADR on it. And the use they found to keep it interesting, because it's just one location, keep it interesting, keep you still invested in the film, it was excellent.
Yeah,
excellent.
Very minimal dialogue.
Which is it's really hard to pull off, because you don't have a lot of dialogue, so they invested so much more into the cinematography, because they Steadicammed almost the entire film, so that you're getting interesting shots, you're getting a lot of movement and stuff like that to keep your eyes engaged when you don't have the dialogue to keep your ears engaged.
And so I'm sorry, one quote you're talking about. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, dude. You're good.
Oh, I was just gonna say there was a quote by the killer in this movie that was always like a big part of this film for me. Was he said something along the lines of, "I know you're holding out on me. I bet if I hit the right spot, I could make you scream." And it's just like the arrogance of this killer, not knowing that she's a deaf mute. So it's like, it was just like, I can make you scream. Like, no, fucker, you can't. You're gonna die. Yeah, this was a rehash of a movie called Wait Until Dark. where the victim or the character was blind instead of deaf mute. So it was really cool that they played the deaf mute part, because they can see but they can't hear. So it was really cool. But yeah, having that limited audio and being able to make it extremely scary movie was really cool.
It really was. I've always really enjoyed films where it's just two people trying to outwit each other. One of my favorite films, old 50s film, is called The Enemy from Below. And it's about a naval ship and a submarine, and it's just one naval ship, one U.S. ship, one German U-boat, and both captains are really good, and they just have to outwit each other, and they go back and forth and all sorts of kind of stuff. It makes it really tense, and I like how she gets some key points in, she gets some small victories, but even he gets some small victories in it, especially when her hand gets real fucked up at one part. And
when he catches her hand in the door,
yeah.
Well, that's one other thing I dug. Being a disability horror, and Jinju brought it up, kind of akin to Don't Breathe, to Fede Alvarez's Don't Breathe, is kind of the disability body horror in that respect. How the individuals who don't suffer from disability automatically assume that the person who does have a disability is at some sort of disadvantage, when in actuality they may not be. And as it turns out, that Maddie's affliction, the fact that she's a deaf mute, it's actually her greatest strength, because she perceives the world differently than he anticipates, which is why she's reactive to things that he would not anticipate, which gives her a slight advantage over her attacker. I love that. Number one, having the protagonist is the one who's disabled in this one, so I think there's kind of hallmarks of a movie that I think. There was too. I can't remember the slasher film was it Copycat, where Sigourney Weaver's in it. She was agoraphobic and couldn't leave her apartment. Was it that one, or was that?
I think I remember Sigourney Weaver in Copycat.
Yeah,
but anyway, I'm going to say you're right.
The idea of because there's the idea of your protagonist having a handicap and your villain having a handicap, and like in Don't Breathe, the villain has it and they underestimate it. But in this one, the victim has it, but the killer woefully underestimates her and her fight, and the fact that she overcame bacterial meningitis when she was a child, and is independent and doesn't need anybody, and lives alone specifically so that she can live her life, is absolutely stunning. I thought that Katie Siegel was magnificent in this one. The dynamic between the two of them, obviously the sadistic, he's like, oh, I'm going to have fun with this chick. I fucked up her hand, I fucked up her leg. We're going to draw this out and have fun with this. And then her, taking the fight to him. I'm telling you this. And I don't know what you guys thought. That final moment when she's hiding, she's in the bathtub. He comes through the friggin' skylight. She doesn't.
Don't ruin the end. Don't ruin the end for
people have seen it, but Tony muted us, so we don't spoil it. But it was things like that. Okay, that was just and there were moments throughout this entire film like that were just captivating. That just really, really got me. If you haven't seen it, you must check this out. But I think it's still on Netflix, isn't it?
I don't know. I have it on my PlayStation, so I watched it through that. But if it is, check it out. You were talking about how it's captivating. The thing that got me was I found myself crouching down and being really quiet so that I didn't make too much noise, and so it's I didn't give anybody away. It was cool that it could do that to your psyche.
I like the fact, and Jay, I think you brought up a really good point, where her being deaf mute seems like a disadvantage right off the bat, but we forget that she's lived with it most of her life, so she's already adapted to that lifestyle. So she's able to pick up on things that you're like, oh, well, they're deaf, they're mute. They obviously aren't used to this. It's like, no, she's had this for her entire life. Yeah, she is on it. And it's just, oh man, it's such a back and forth between them. The way it's staged, it's so well done.
No, it is really good.
Yeah. It really is. And the thing is also, I love films.
Well, it put a new perspective. I would say to put a new perspective on disability horror, because I think the earliest example I could possibly, it was really more of a thriller, was obviously Rear Window, and the idea of being stuck and being limited in some capacity. And then, of course, however whether your protagonist is blind, whether they're deaf, whether they are paralyzed, or even say like the movie Monkey Shines, where our protagonist turning kind of anti-hero, turning villain, he was a quadriplegic, in regards to that, where the idea of losing an aspect of yourself, that now, luckily for our protagonist here, Maddie, she lost her, I think it was at the age of 13, if I remember correctly. Yeah, at age 13. So Maddie's had time to acclimate to it. But even then, it's terrifying, the concept of losing a part of yourself. Whether, it's a physical, like losing a hand or losing an arm or losing a leg, or, some of the things that you need to perceive the world, losing your sight, your hearing, your ability to taste things, or smell them, smell being, so, important. But yeah, it's, I dug these ones because I think everybody's got that one sense that they would be terrified to lose.
See, when you talk about it like that, that's with the side effect of the coronavirus. I know a couple of people that lost their sense of smell and taste, and a friend of mine was really not like good mentally okay with it, like because it lasts for so long that it was a month later and you still can't taste or smell, and it causes depression. Like, you had this thing that you no longer have. You don't enjoy eating, like you can't smell things. It's just frustrating, and that's not even like a major one, but it causes other problems as well. Like, you don't want to eat. You don't have an appetite anymore. And so, yeah, that's like, even the little ones, the little senses are messed up. But that's, honestly, that's a good question for the audience. What would be the scariest sense to lose? I have a really hard time thinking about if I was deaf, because I'm so aware of like the sounds that are around me all the time. I use that. I have pretty terrible eyesight and I just refuse to get glasses. But like, I use my sense of hearing more than I use any other sense to figure out what's going on around me. So I'd be terrified if I lost that. You'd have to readapt to everything.
And on top of that, you would lose music.
You'd lose everything that everything that made you feel good. Music, but the music thing, like from what I've read about people that are deaf, like you can still like feel the vibrations and kind of get an idea of, what the sounds are if you've had hearing before, to have it and then lose it, that would be terrifying.
Yeah, that's what I kind of like, watching those uplifting videos when people hear for the first time.
Oh my God, makes me cry.
Yeah, it's just like, oh my God, they're experiencing it forever. Yeah,
I can tell you, as I don't have a sense of smell myself, have never had one, and my sense of taste is very, very muted, which is why typically whatever I'm eating, it's either usually spicy or it's sweet. I need the extreme taste so I can actually get something out of the food that I eat. Otherwise, they come off as very, very bland. Which probably explains a lot of things about either my weight or whatever, but that's just the way my life is. But I've never known what it's like to have a sense of smell. My sense of taste has always been muted. It's always been kind of reduced. So, and my eyes are shit. So I have glasses on that just I got my mother's eyes and they're just absolutely terrible. So my sense of hearing is so very, very important to me. And I can actually attest to this, Alex, because you're saying sense of hearing as well. My sense of hearing is so important that I one time, years ago, I actually had an impaction in my left ear.
Oof.
And I lost I couldn't hear out of my left ear. And it was one of the few times in my life I've panicked, because all of a sudden just the sound just closed off. And it was almost like it felt like my ear was numb, because there was no sound coming in whatsoever. Right. And it freaked me out so badly. I almost had a panic attack. And eventually, what it was, just went to the doctor, got fleshed out, and then that was pretty much it. But for a while there, I was absolutely terrified, because I rely on my sense of hearing so much, because my other senses are absolute crap. But that's just me from that experience. And everyone's got that one that I think for a lot of people it might be blindness. What do you think, Eugene?
Yeah, I was going to say eyesight. I was actually I was on a camping trip. It was like a week-long camping trip when I was a teenager, and I was on a sailboat, and I lost my glasses in the lake. Like, I mean, they're gone, and we're out there for a week, and I lost them like on like Wednesday, like for the middle of the week. So I had to go like 3 days in the woods without my glasses. And you can kind of get to the point where you kind of adjust to a point. So you can kind of walk on a trail and you can kind of find your way around and stuff like that. The entire time I'm thinking, like, if this is prehistoric times, I would have been picked off like a long time ago on it. And so, and that's just, I have my super bad eyesight being completely black, or to the point where it's just, you only see flashes of light because you can't drive a car. You're so dependent on people around you. Even like your home kind of thing, where you have the people who they have to count steps to the refrigerator, to do their laundry, to the bed, all sorts of kind of stuff. It's really scary.
Yeah, that'd be terrifying. That's crazy, JL. I didn't know about your smell taste thing.
Yeah, it's been since birth. And I can tell you the test to figure out whether or not your olfactories are actually working is, especially in the early 80s, is absolutely terrible. It fucking sucks. It just Q-tips and just, it pretty much, it would, back in the 80s, it was, well, let's stick something in here and see what happens. Well, nothing happened. I guess that's pretty much it.
You got this in your blood. Why don't you do cocaine about it?
It's fucking atrocious. But yeah. Oh,
here's Jessica, one. I've got extreme
Jessica
tinnitus.
G. Sorry, Jessica G. at PhD Tony. We're not falling for it. We're not going to fall for it. And please, Alex, continue.
They're really going for it, man.
They keep trying to get us, and they're not going to get us.
I was going to say, I've got severe tinnitus that developed probably 8 or 10 years ago. Not sure why, what happened, but like constant ringing in my ears. So like being able to like listen to music and stuff constantly is like, that is an important part as well, because like the silence, I don't know how like deaf works, if the tinnitus would go away, but if that's all I could fucking hear, I'd probably not be here.
Yeah, just that ringing and nothing else for the rest of your life.
It's so bad all the time. And like, it's terrible. But like, that's like, I have to like turn the TV on at night when I'm trying to fall asleep, because it's like, I can't listen to that noise all the time.
Yes. Well, definitely let us know in the live chat or down in the comments below, or shoot us an email, weekinhorror@gmail.com. Because Alex reads those and he loves to read what you guys have to say. Let us know, what is the scariest sense for you? What would be the scariest sense to lose? We definitely would want to know that. Now, Eugene, we have a trivia question.
Yes, we do. It's trivia time. Somebody gets to win something.
We are giving away. What is this? Hang on a sec. Jessica G is in the chat. So Jessica G says, so for the vision impaired, none of them know what me and Tony are typing. So thanks to JL Warren for denying them the privilege of reading our comments.
Oh my God! Now she just
wow! You can't win.
You're not going to make me feel guilty.
You can't win.
Oh, Charlie Welch says COVID gave me ringing in left ear. Still there 2 months later.
That was one of the side effects from COVID. Was
that
tinnitus.
Sucks.
Yeah, that was one of them.
That sucks.
That's terrible.
Well, how about this? We're giving away a limited edition #2 Week in Horror T-shirt. We're giving one of those away with a coffee mug.
Since nobody,
so you get a mug,
suggestions,
official,
a new one.
Our official Week in Horror mug, and a limited edition Week in Horror with #2 Week in Horror shirt, because this is the last month that the limited edition shirt will be in the store. At the end of April, it's gone, and I think it's going to be gone forever. So that's pretty much it. So, yep. This is your opportunity to try and get one for free. So, Eugene, take it away with this week's trivia question.
Okay. The question is, what is the first film director Mike Flanagan and his wife Kate Siegel collaborated on together? What was the first film director Mike Flanagan and wife Kate Siegel collaborated on together? And then when you get your answer,
Jessica G, you're killing me.
Put it in the comments.
Yes, put it in the comma.
I got
Put
your
it in the
back.
comma.
I got your back, Jessica G. Hang on a second. I got your back. Since nobody ever gets to hear my comments read because JL doesn't like people that can't see, someone will have to read it out for him verbally. Titties.
Johnny, thank you. Johnny can take it. Okay, so I think Johnny's our official Jessica G comment reader. And yes, PhD Tony is the first one in the chat to get it right. It was Oculus. Oh, but here's a question.
Yes.
Here's a question. He spelled it wrong, but Charlie Welch spelled it right.
Uh-oh.
No, PhD Tony.
I'm not gonna.
This is not. This is not the week in English.
I'm sorry. No, I was about to make a joke that he didn't put in for a phrase. He didn't form it like a question, but he actually did. Yes, PhD Tony, you are correct. Kate Siegel had a small role in the film Oculus, which was the third film. Slurred film? I almost said second, yeah. But and then I second guessed myself. No, second film. Damn it. I got to stop fucking doing that. But yes, was the second film that Mike Flanagan directed, and she had a small role in that. They've been together ever since. They've collaborated quite a deal. And I think they always put out fantastic stuff. So yes, congratulations, PhD Tony. You win the official Week in Horror limited edition shirt number 2, the one with the entire cast and crew of Week in Horror together as our favorite horror icons. You get one of those bad boys and an official Week in Horror coffee mug. And we will get those to you out ASAP. Oh, man. So congratulations, PhD Tony, for winning that. I want to thank everybody else for coming out. So that brings another episode of Week in Horror to a close. I want to thank you all so much for listening. We truly hope you enjoyed it. Join us next week when we discuss Anaconda, Edge of Sanity, Scream 4, and Unfriended. And we would like to send a special shout out to our incredible patrons who have helped us make this show the success that it has become. Special thank you to Jeff Roberts, Dark Steve, Commander Darklight, Sir Chasm, Crafty Keela, Anthony Purcell, Gavlar, the Hand of Zod, Mike Barrett, Jessica G, Nana, Kyrie, Alexis S, and Jose Alalde. We thank you all so much. We couldn't do the show without you. Visit us at weekinhorror.net, where you can find links to all of our episodes, our bios, our merch store at Teespring, and of course, enter your email for a permanent entry to win a mystery horror shirt every single month, courtesy of $6shirts.com. For more horror entertainment, be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Followers there get our daily splatter, a little bit of horror info every day right to your feed. You never know what movies you may discover. We really hope you enjoyed this new live format. We'd love to get your feedback on it. Please subscribe to the channel and smash that bell like a fucking zombie head for all the latest from the show. And lastly, if you truly love what we do here and would like to and are able to support the production, you can through our PayPal and our Patreon. We have patron tiers as low as $1 a month. $1 a month, and you can help us make the show even better than it was before. We also have exclusive content for our higher tiers, such as access to our bloodbaths, access to our After Dark sessions, and even free movies every single month. Links to all of those, including our Discord community, where you can find film recommendations, trailers, trivia games, interact with us directly, and even watch movies with us during our watch parties, are all down below in the description. Now, we know that things are tight. Things are just crazy out there right now. So always liking and sharing this show amongst your friends and your fellow horror community is the best way to help us grow. And we appreciate you all so much for all that you do in supporting us. Every single one of you, we love you so much. I am JL.
And I'm Eugene.
I'm Alex.
We will see you all next week. And as always, stay scared.